Uh, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, Krish. Yes, Rishi.
Okay, all right, great. So basically, this whole program, right, I've divided into three parts. So one is developer, one is the next level of developer, that is the advanced developer, and one is the system administration part. So initially, for beginners, right? Sorry, Pargat has a question. Just 1 second. Okay. So in the development part, a developer training, right? So I would like to spend around 25 to 30 hours on this, depending on how you guys really want it. So this is more of a custom training thing. Whatever you want can be added on when you say. Uh, so in the developer training, the first 1 day we can spend around the introduction to AEM, why AEM. When you say AAM, what is the advantage that it has over the other content management systems like the IBM content management system or the Sitecore, Joomla, Drupal, WordPress? There are a lot of CMS tools. So how does AEM stand out among these tools? What are the different versions of AEM? And I mean, what is the current version? All those things. And then the technology stack of AEM, the features, and one more thing is, whenever I'm covering any topic, my idea is to give you as much as possible in terms of certification point of view, as well as in clearing interviews and creating a website on your own. That is my whole idea. So at the end of this training, right, I mean, and every topic, I have made exercises that you can kind of do as soon as the topic is over. I'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes to do that. And if any of you are stuck, I'll get into your machine and help you to solve those things.
Yeah, that's
So
great
in the
idea, Rishi. Good.
right. So in the installation part, right? So we'll be covering around how to install the AEM. You guys have a CQ installed with you already, or how is it?
No, no, actually, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't have installation version.
Okay. So maybe what I can do is I can distribute the training CQ jar file. So how usually CQ comes is it comes as a jar file and it gets okay. So Madhur has it. So you have a licensed one or how is it, Madhu? Okay. So I
Rishi,
mean I
the
can
training,
distribute. Sorry.
the training version is available on the Adobe itself, or we have to register, or we have to get the license for that one for training.
Uh, Training. See, what I have is a training license, but I'm not sure if I can distribute it to you guys.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. What license do you have? Okay, Madhur, it's not working. Fine, let me do one thing. I can distribute the training license one, but I would expect you guys not to distribute it to anybody else.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, okay. So that's one thing. And whatever the questions are there, maybe everybody can post it on the chat, and then we'll take it one by one. Okay. So you can interrupt me as and when I'm doing something, so that you'll have a better understanding. And then if you see the developer training part, so we'll also cover the installation and deployment, and also we'll cover the various modes of working. There are a few modes of working in AEM. So AEM 6 introduces you to the touch UI, which is UI you use for authoring in Apple touch phones. So we'll work on that as well, and then we'll work on the DAM console, right? So when you talk of AEM, it is primarily made up of, if you see the technology stack, it is made of OSGi, which is the open source gateway initiative. I mean, it is a protocol for creating bundles and all those things. We'll get into deep dive. So this is just a overview of what I'm going to cover. So then we'll also cover the JCR. So JCR is, I mean, let me cover the architecture stack. This is just an overview of the topics that I'm going to give you. and then we'll cover a Sling with Sitely. So Sitely is a scripting framework wherein you build your components. So everything you do in AEM is components. So you build components and you use some scripting frameworks to build that. So let's talk about that, and let's also discuss Apache Sling and REST. We'll get into depth with this. I have a lot of exercises for this. I will run you over the materials that I have. Since this is a demo class, I just want to give an overview of what all we are going to cover in the next coming classes. That's fair, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then once we are kind of comfortable with the technology stack, we'll move on to how to author in this. So when you talk of AEM, right, so there are three kinds of stakeholders in this. One is the author. So author is usually the digital marketeer who creates the content, and there is a publish. So publish is where the author publishes it to. So the publish is something that is visible to the end user who experiences the digital content that the author has created. So, and then there is also something called as digital assets. So whenever you're trying to build a website, you would usually have a lot of images, videos, and PDFs. Okay, Madhur's net speed is not good. Srinivas, you're on? Just 1 second, guys. I think Madhur has a problem.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah, Rishi.
Okay, so guys, yeah. So we were talking about the authoring framework. So how to, okay. Basically, when you talk about AEM, there are three kinds of people involved here. One is the content authors. So content authors are those who use the components and just drag and drop the components built by the developers into a page. So the role of an author is to author the content. For example, he places a text component, and that text component he will just customize and he'll have a dialog to enter the values for the text. So I'll run you through that. I'll run you through a demonstration website so you'll come to know clearly. So as the next second role is a developer. So a developer's role is to build components and hand it over. So these components are usually reusable. So if a company, if a large think of a large enterprise, so it will have multiple websites. So you would want to build reusable components. For example, say a logo component. So if your enterprise has 2, 3 websites, this logo component can be a one-time, development activity which can be dragged and dropped over these 3 websites. So that way a developer builds components using front end. You can use any framework. So this AEM supports any front end framework primarily. So I'll run you through what all it supports. Then we'll also look at search components. Then we look at top navigation and the dynamic grid components. I think these things may sound a little strange to you now. So slowly, once I take you through the overall material, you'll come to know. Then we'll also learn about AEM workflows, developing mobile websites. So nowadays, whatever website you develop, there is a re-effort in building it for the mobile. You go for the responsive design frameworks like the CSS, media queries, and a lot of JavaScript responsive frameworks are there. So AEM, the framework itself comes with a out-of-the-box responsive framework. So let's discuss about how we can achieve the responsive design for our websites. It is just a one-time building activity that will roll out to mobile as well as multiple devices. It can be a mobile, it can be your touch screen, or it can be your laptops or whatever. So that is something we learn. Then we'll also understand how a content is published, and if you're stuck in authoring something, there is a replication queue. So when you publish content, it goes and sits into the replication queue. How the whole replication happens, let's understand it in depth. Okay, so this is something that we'll cover in the developer training. So let's begin, and slowly we'll see what are the other things that are involved.
So you are saying it right, Rishi.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are saying it right. There are three kind of things, right? Admin,
right.
and developers, and content author. So this
Correct.
yeah, and the training will cover everything, right?
Correct. So this training, right, there are three modules. The first module is the developer training. Okay.
Okay.
Second one is the advanced developer training. So since this AEM is a very huge framework, there are a lot of things that are involved. So this advanced training, once you go through the developer training and once you build a mini website, you can take it to the next level and get into further depth. So that is the advanced developer training. So there we cover the development models like how to build a Maven project and how to configure the SVN for that, and how to kind of pull the content from the Eclipse to the CRX. I'll explain you about all these things and then tell you what are the topics that we'll cover in the various modules. That is clear?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, because I first only if you see all these things there may be a confusion. So let's begin with the demo session then. Okay, so okay. So first of all, let us understand what is a CMS. Do you guys have any kind of experience working with CMS? Any CMS tool other than AEM, or any idea of what a CMS is?
No, Rishi, I don't have.
Okay, okay, fine then, cool. So see, CMS is a content management system. So what is a content management system? So usually, if you take large enterprise application or take a news website, for example, bbc.com. So there the content keeps changing, every day it keeps changing, or it can change 2 to 3 times in a day. So when you have a lot of changing content, if you build a typical Java J2W application or a .NET application, right? So if you want to change some content, you would ideally go to a web designer or the developer. So what the developer does is he modifies that particular JSP or modifies that particular HTML, and the whole application has to go through a deployment process, right? So to avoid the deployment process for continuously changing content, we need a content management system. So a content management system, how it works out is a developer just builds the components and gives it. So a marketeer or somebody who wants to change the content, right? They call it as the author. He can just drag and drop that component and edit it there. If he just double clicks on that particular component, there will be a dialog which will hold the value which has to be displayed. So he just goes and modifies that value and then says publish it. So immediately the content is visible. So this way, right, you are avoiding a deployment cycle. So if you go through a deployment cycle, again it has to go through a lot of QA validations and other things. So here you are giving the control of the content to a author. So a content management system is a web application designed for non-technical users. So here if you see the control for that content is with a non-technical user. So usually in a large enterprise system, there will be digital marketeers. So their role is to see how you can build a website and how the end users perceive it, how many end users perceive it, what is the strategy for their content and other things. So that way you are passing the control to the non-technical users to add, edit and manage a website. So a developer's role will be just the first few days wherein he is developing the components. So once the components is ready, right, the authoring team takes all your components and then creates the page how they want. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, Rishi.
Okay. So uh, content management system, what all does it do? So basically what it does is, so whenever you say an author can do something, there has to be some processes, right? For example, an author cannot just go and publish some content, all right? So it has to go through some kind of a workflow wherein author writes some content. It has to go to the next level for approval. So usually there will be content managers who will approve this content. So that way what happens is there is something called as workflows here. So as soon as you publish some content, workflow is nothing but a few steps which have to happen after the some content is authored. It will go to the content management for approval. So if the content manager approves it, then it will go to the publish. So there are workflows for that. So AEM supports workflows, right? So these are the things. And what all the content management system does is it keeps track of the users. So if you think of a big enterprise application, there are a lot of end users, there are a lot of users that can do many things in the application. So they classify it into users and groups, right? So, and also if you see a website, there will usually be a search. So Adobe CQ5, it comes with an out of the box search. So when I say out of the box, as soon as you install the jar, you get a lot of components. So Adobe CQ5 is composed of components, right? So some of the components I can list are the logo component, the top navigation component, and header, footer, everything comes as components. So search itself comes as a component, right? So when you talk of any CMS, there are a few roles. So like I said, an administrator. Who is an administrator? So for example, think of your current organization. An administrator is somebody who will give you access or who will give you privileges to do some actions. What are the kind of actions in a content management system? It can be read, write, delete. So read, write, delete permissions are given by the administrator for the different groups. So you can have a content authoring group, you can have a content reviewing group, and you can have the users who just have to come and do some actions. So you can rename any group and you give privileges, right? So next one is the author. So who is an author? An author is somebody who takes the components that are developed by the developer, place it accordingly in the page, and as soon as he places some components, he can just double click that component and associate the values. For example, I build a text component as a developer. So somebody else is the author. The author takes the text component and drags it into a placeholder within a page. So then as soon as it drops it, you see a text component. So now says a text component has to hold some value, right? So you double click on that text component. You get a dialog. So in that dialog, you say what is visible to the end user. So you enter a value. So as soon as you enter a value, that gets stored into the database. So that's how the whole rendering happens. I will get into depth when I explain the resolution and all those things, right? So we are seeing at a high level. So now let us understand what are the various other CMS solutions that are available. So, a few popular ones are the Sitecore, right? And the Sitecore is, see, it's a .NET based again. This is a Java based. So finding Java based people are more easier than finding .NET based. Okay. Then there is the Electron Web Content Management. Okay, so this is also a similar thing, but here AEM has a lot of publishing features. So when we walk through the demo, right, you will understand what are the features that I'm talking about. And Adobe, right? Okay, so let me cover this point. Guys, you can interrupt me if you are held with something. I mean, we can just clarify there.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the Adobe Marketing Cloud, so Adobe have come out with a lot of tools for digital marketing. Now, digital marketing is the new trend, right? So whenever you build a website, you just don't build the website and just keep quiet. So what you need to do is you need to track the visitors, like what is the user behavior. For example, think of Flipkart. So as soon as you log into Flipkart, behind the scenes, Flipkart is doing a lot of things. They track how many times you have visited, what is your user behavior, what are the patterns, what is the shopping pattern. And for example, say suppose you have chosen only books, then after say 2-3 weeks you get an ad, you get an ad into your mail saying this book is available. You see a lot of discounts, vouchers, and they do a lot of campaigning. That's called as campaigning, right? So all these things they primarily do using Java and a lot of JavaScript frameworks, right? So Adobe seeing all these pattern, so they have come out with the Adobe Marketing Cloud solution. Okay, so in the Adobe Marketing Cloud, there are primarily 6 products, right? So one is the Adobe Social. So social collaboration in the applications is a very common scenario now. On any page, right? You can just go recommend that products to your friends in Facebook, share it with Twitter, tweet on it. You can do a lot of things, right? Or you can just deploy that photo into Instagram, all those things. So Adobe have come out with a solution for such a thing called as Adobe Social. Okay, then whatever we are seeing Adobe Experience Manager, this is the content management system part. Okay, so wherein any building of a website, you think of it in this way. Any Java and a J2W application, think of it in this way. See, if you want to add lot of images, videos, embed it and do a lot of development, it will take around 2 to 3 months minimum. But in this Adobe Experience Manager, you are bringing the effort to, they say 1/4 of the effort involved in any typical programming application. So that's the speed of Adobe Experience Manager. Okay. Then they also, Adobe also has its own analytics solution. So you guys are aware of how analytics works?
No, I don't have any idea.
Okay, so analytics is, see, say suppose you have a page and as an author or as a digital marketer of a company, you create a website, right? You want that to be marketed well. So when you say marketed well, you want to target like how many visitors visited my website in this point of time, from say 6 June to 10 June, how many visitors were there? What are the pages that got visited? And what are the locations from which it was accessed, whether it was from EMEA region, whether it was from North America, South America, and all those things, right? So you get a total calculation. So what you do is whatever data you get from analytics, you map it, you give it to a report. So to report means, for example, you will say you will map it to coordinates. So you'll have a x-axis, you'll have a y-axis. Whatever data you get from analytics, you map it to the number of users and the location, for example. So you get a graph like this. So you say, for example, this x-axis is the location and y-axis is the number of users, right? So you can give whatever coordinates you want and you get a report. So this will help you in analysis. So if you say, suppose uh, EMEA or Europe region has less, less number of users, right? So you would want to go and modify the content for that region, make it more interactive, make it do whatever you want with it, right? Then there is the media optimizer. So this is again another solution. I'm just deviating from the experience manager just to understand what are the abilities of this, right? So if you see the campaign, right? For example, you have a buyer. Say somebody has logged into your website. Just 1 second, guys. Say somebody has you have a clothing website and somebody has logged into your website and bought a jacket. Okay, so he has bought a jacket in the month of March. So with the campaign you will come to know, you can make a campaign, and in the month of June when the winter begins, right, you can campaign your another product to him. So that way the campaign management, it's called as campaign management. So it's another solution by Adobe. Okay, then there is media optimizer. So media optimizer, what it does is when you have multiple videos and you want to upload it to your website, so this media optimizer helps you to do that, right? So that is something. Then there is the target. So what is target? So there is a concept called as personalization, wherein, for example, based on your pattern or your behavior, you want to target some content. For example, say suppose I am less than 25 years of age and I am a clothing company. So I have a new range of jeans pant collection, right? I want to target it to all age groups less than 25. So Adobe has a solution to do that. So think of that, this has to expand in a large enterprise. So they'll have multiple products and they'll have multiple segments that they want to target these campaigns to. So that way this is all related, right? You can ask me anywhere you want, right? If you have any doubts. Okay. So now
Okay.
this makes sense, right? Whatever the examples. I'm just trying to make you guys understand this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So if you just look at it, the touch points for AEM, one is creation of the websites. It helps in creation of the websites. Then it helps you in advertising perspective. If you use the Adobe Target solution, then if you use the Adobe Social, right, it comes with a lot of social integration with Facebook, Twitter, and other things. Then you have a lot of workflows. Then you can set up email kiosks and all those things, right? We'll come to this. Okay.
Okay.
So usually, right, whenever you have some content, what traditionally how it works is you have some content and you will take a printout of the new content that has to be published and then get a signature. So with Adobe, right, they have another product called as the no, these are not shipped with AEM, but what AEM is, it's powerful that it can, you know, integrate with the cloud with all these solutions. So there is no need to purchase all these. You can just integrate on the cloud. So I just wanted to show you the ability of the end user who buys AEM, what are the capabilities that he can get. That is the idea. Okay. So if you see the, this is the Adobe Experience Manager, right? So what are the advantages of this? So you can go live 25% faster. So 25% faster for a big enterprise is they're saving a lot of dollars for this. So this is the main advantage. And then this AEM, it supports multi-channel. So what do I mean by multi-channel? So usually whenever you roll a website, it is only supported on the browsers, like from your desktop. So multi-channel is it supports on the mobile devices. It supports on the ThinkPads, touch screens, and all these screens in one shot. And it is also multilinguistic. So what is multilinguistic? So if you have your website that has to be supported in multiple languages, this framework comes with an internationalization feature. Okay, so what happens is uh, there are some advanced concepts. It's called as the live copy. So when you create a main master copy, you can roll it out to the various children. So various children are the various languages. So rolling it out to multiple languages, think of a normal application. So what you would do, you would create a message bundle, and that message bundle you would associate with various languages, and then your code, right, you need to write code to pick up various languages depending on the login locale and all those things. But in Adobe it's a lot simpler, right? Immediately you can roll it out to say 80 languages in one rollout. So what do I mean by rollout? The content going from author to publisher. Okay. Okay, any doubts?
No, Rishi.
Okay, so let's see what is the okay. So then when we were talking about the various content management systems, there is Documentum. Again, Documentum is a .NET based. Whenever we think of any .NET based, finding the developers for that is a little difficult. And there is the Foresters report. Okay, so the Foresters, like, they rate the various tools available in the market, and Adobe has been in the top quadrant from the last 4 years. And I'm sure you guys would have researched a lot about Adobe Experience Manager. There are a lot of openings in the market, and next 3 or 4 years, so this is going to be in boom. Okay, so let us understand what is the advantage. I mean, why people are choosing for this when there are so many other solutions. Okay, so see, first of all, it allows the organizations to create, manage, and enhance the customer and visitor experiences, right? So these digital experiences, not only in one, when you access it from one device, it is from all the digital channels, right? Be it your mobile, be it your touchscreens, be it anything, be it your iPad, whatever, right? So it gives you a consistent look and feel of the website. So what do I mean by consistent look and feel across multiple devices? usually if you see the applications which are not on this Adobe CQ, when you open a website on a phone, right, you see a scroll bar. So if you scroll to the right, you see the content which is so the content is not uniform, right? But in this, what happens is it adjusts itself according to the devices. So this is what we call as the responsive design. Are you guys aware of responsive design? Okay. Anybody else? You want me to explain that? Exactly, phone gap, right? You guys want me to show it? Any of you?
Yeah, you can show me. If you,
Okay, great. Okay. Right, so I'll take an example of a website which is in AEM. So if you see citrix.com, it's built in AEM. Okay, so if you see this, right, usually the older websites, if you adjust the screen size, right, do you see it? Do you see it getting pinched? The image gets adjusted, right? So this is the responsive framework. Okay, so you get a consistent look and feel, and now even if you access the citrix.com from your phone, you see a same look and feel, right? So this is responsive framework. So AEM comes with built-in responsive framework capabilities. This is what gives you a consistent look and feel across devices. Okay, for example, let me show you another website. Okay, so see, if you adjust your screen size, right? Right, it's more to do with CSS3. Let me show you like other, even without using CSS3, using the mobile emulator framework, right? For development, how we can make it, even without using CSS3, let me show you how this AEM supports that in the future courses, right? And that's what I wanted to explain. There are some disadvantages of writing using CSS3. We'll cover that. So this is responsive. For somebody who didn't know responsive, see if you see this, the content itself is getting adjusted to the size of the browser. So when you access the same thing from your phone, it gets adjusted. Is it clear like how responsive works?
yeah, yes, Rishi.
Okay, okay, cool, fine. Okay, then this is something, and what are the other features? Like it supports something called as digital asset management system. So what is digital assets? So usually when you see any big website, there are a lot of images and there are videos, there are PDFs and everything, right? So when you want to think of a traditional application, so why I compare it with a traditional application is to understand what benefit it is giving over that. So if you want to render a image, if you want to render a video, you have to write lines of code to achieve that. Well, now, if you see a simple, it's just a drag and drop. If you see, okay, okay, guys. So this is the Adobe Experience Manager console. Okay, so this is where I have to log in to get into my AEM. Okay, so in this console, right, there are multiple things that are available about projects, how to create projects. This is where you go and create the sites, and this is where you go and create AEM forms. Okay, let me cover this slowly, right? So what I was talking about is the assets. So what do I mean by digital assets? It can be images, videos, or PDFs, or it can be any file, right? Any asset. So Usually when you think of a traditional application, one thing is rendering part. If you want to render a video or render an image, you need to write lines of code to achieve it. And you need to have a place where you can upload it. And it depends from project to project, like how they mention the structure and that path they need to adjust it in the code. So there is a lot of overhead involved. But this Adobe Experience Manager, it comes with a separate DAM console. It's called a Digital Management Asset Console, wherein you go and upload all the assets, images, and PDFs in one place, right? See, uploading an asset is a very simple thing here. You just go and choose an image. Okay, so I don't have any image handy now. Okay, right? Okay, so you have a centralized console wherein uploading image is just going and giving the location of that image, and if you see in the background there are a lot of things that have happened for this image, right? So it has created multiple renditions for that image, right? So what is the use of creating renditions for an image? So renditions means there are multiple sizes in which this image is created in the background, right? So what is the use of this? So if you see a website. Okay, so if I resize this website, right, there is a smaller version of the image that is getting rendered here. So how is that happening? Okay, so this is happening because as soon as I uploaded my image into the dam is automatically creating renditions. So what do I mean by renditions? It is the pixel size. So there is one image, say suppose it's created with 1200 into 800 pixels. Automatically it creates three other renditions for that same image with smaller renditions. So this way when I resize my browser, right, the smaller image rendition that has got created will be rendered. Okay, so that is the beauty of this. And even uploading the videos is very simple here. You just have to upload a video here, right? And everything else will get reference from this DAM. So whatever I'm showing you now is called the DAM console. Okay, so as soon as you install your AEM comes with uh, built-in applications, like about 4 to 5 applications. It comes shipped with 4 to 5, so which you use it as a reference to build your future applications, right? So these things are not what I created. It came out of the box. So they have assigned, see, Geometrics is a dummy project which come with these many images, and it also comes with screenshots. Then you can upload the videos here. See, they've uploaded the movies here, right? So you understand, right, how, I mean, how simple it is if everything is centralized in one place, just referencing that in the application, right? So for a digital marketeer, he does not have to go through the code structure, or he does not have to know where to place the video. He just has to come and place it here. So this way you are separating the concerns between the various stakeholders of your application. Okay,
Okay. See, you are saying that
okay,
it was created, yeah, Rishi?
right, right, go ahead.
Rishi?
Yeah, go ahead, I'm able to hear you.
Yeah, okay. You are saying that when we shrink the screen, right, it will be created two to three images, right?
Correct, correct.
So where we can see the three images, is it at the runtime it will be created or it will be physical file
No, no.
created?
As soon as you upload it here itself, you can create see that.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see here, I just uploaded it once. Okay,
Okay.
do you see this? This gets rendered on a mobile.
Okay.
You can even customize your code. Like on mobile, which out of these four renditions you want to see? You
Okay.
see. 319 into 319, 140 into 100. You can even say, you can even specify the rendition pixels. Like I want an image of 800 into 900 pixel and all those things, right? This is the
Okay.
beauty of it. So again, how it is happening is this is happening because of a custom workflow that is running. So what is a workflow? Whenever you do some action, okay, there are some set of steps that happen. So whenever I did an action of uploading the image into the DAM console, the actions that happened in the background are creating the renditions. So creating the renditions went into a step of a workflow. We'll discuss about this. So this one I've covered in the developer training. Last part is to cover the workflows, right? Starting a workflow, what is the work item, what is the payload, how to explore the workflow console. So see, this module I just want you guys to understand the beauty of AEM. So that is when you will start understanding the real flavor.
Okay. See, Rishi,
Okay.
compared to other framework, right? It should be very expensive, right?
Right. It is very expensive. The license of Adobe is the highest. Okay, but what happens is it comes with a lot of features, right? Even if you buy any other tool, it does not come packaged with all the features that Adobe comes. Okay, so let me tell you the features of AEM, right? And then you will understand what are the features that are not supported in the other frameworks. You need to buy these separately.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one thing. So we were talking about the DAM capabilities, right? To enable, manage and manipulate the content and from Sitecore as it is popular. Yeah, right. So see, advantages from Sitecore is this multi-site manager capabilities, right? So multi-site when I say what multi-site, what you have is, for example, you have internationalization, right? Even Sitecore comes with an international, but the thing is there is a live content translation that is happening here. That is one thing. And then Sitecore, right? To make it responsive, you need to write a lot of custom code. You do not have this built-in, kind of facilities there. And then even the personalization, when I say personalization, right, creating the target segments and targeting your campaigns to those particular segments, all those things you need to write a lot of code in the Sitecore area. But here I mean, this comes with built-in. And even the social marketing in Adobe, right, it's very powerful here. If you see, Adobe offers a lot of tools for blogs, communities, shared calendars, and see, nowadays, right, you would want to collaborate with other similar users, right? For example, you logged into Flipkart, you bought a shirt, you would want to collaborate with all the other users who bought a shirt. You would want to comment about something, and you would want to give ratings about a particular product. All these come as built in here. So that is the advantage. For example, if you want to build a product website, you just drag and drop a shirt here, and the price and the ratings and area where other users can come and enter the comments about that particular product, right? So you can engage with visitors and customers across different social media channels. You can I mean, you can pull some feed from Facebook here directly. So it's very powerful. Right. So maximizing lead conversion. So usually as a digital marketer, right, what is his end goal? It is to generate leads, right? So when I say generate leads, it has to be conversion of something as revenue to that particular organization. So this Adobe, right, it comes with a lot of integration with other product suites. So that way, this, if you use the target or if you use personalization part, it will help in lead conversion. So that is the advantage, right? And it also allows you to create, edit, and manage websites in different languages. So like I said, right, uh, if you have the child copies, it supports internalization. We have an exercise for that internalization part. So we'll understand like how the different languages are supported. Just one language if I am editing, right? and have a workflow running which will translate the content. So just one content rollout will roll out to 80 other languages. So just imagine the effort that it is saving. Okay, so I would also like to tell you, see, when I'm saying this, it's a very there are a lot of big names that are using this. Some of the clients that are using this is Adobe.com itself. There's Harley Davidson. All many Fortune 500 companies are using this, right? So how they assess it is they'll have one architect team, I mean architecture team, who will go evaluate the tool. They will compare it with all these other CMS system, come with a report, right? So there is one pattern. If you open any of these websites, right, you can just identify whether it is built on AEM or not. I would like to show you that. It's very interesting. Let me open. Okay. So right. So how do you identify that it's built with a CQ, right? So one simple thing is you just hover over any of the links and then you see a .html extension, right? Do you see here?
Yeah.
News.html. So when you say .html, how the content is getting resolved, I mean, there is a rendering happening for this, right? So we'll look into this. I mean, this is called Sling resolution. I mean, we'll look at this in depth. So if you see any .html, right, you just go and go to a website called built it with. Okay. And give the website and say any website. Just look up, it will give you the technology stack that your application is built with, right? So if you see the content management system that is used, it says Adobe CQ, right? So one thing, and so what, see, whenever you see a CQ website, take it into granted that it has a lot of images, lot of videos, and it has multi-linguistic, it is a it supports multi-language. If you see here, right, see, these are the features, whatever I spoke about, these are the features that are used. See, you'll have the same look and feel for various websites. It supports responsive design, right? Do you see that? Okay, take any website, right? As you see a .html here, right? You can just take it for granted, and if you want to see whether that website is built, you can just go and do a lookup of that website here. It is just for your understanding. Okay. Okay. So there are a lot of big names that are using this, right? I would also encourage you. See, my idea is, I have a question. How to site? No. Sorry, Pargat. I didn't get your question. You want to know like how that website? How do you know that website is built with CQ, right? How built it will know. Right, right, got it. So what built it does is they have a lot of, I mean, whenever you go to if you go to the developer tools in the scripts, right? So in the scripts, right, they identify, they have a pattern. I mean, CQ scripts. CQ comes with something called as client library, which will have all the scripts, right? So which we'll cover. I mean, it's in the developer training. So the client library has JavaScripts, and the client library, whenever you include it, it's under the etc. So what I assume is built it will parse all the scripts related to etc and conclude that it is built with AEM. Okay. I mean, I'm really not sure how they don't expose their algorithm of how they did. This is what my assumption is. Otherwise, I don't see any other way they can identify. Because only thing exposed to the end user is scripts in any application, not the code part, right? Okay. Right. So my idea is, as soon as any topic is over, right, I will send you a lot of links which are helpful for your even.NET stuff. Okay. Okay, so I'll send you a list of links which is helpful for your certification perspective or for the interview or for anything, right? So for example, I have a lot of links with me. So if you see here, now whatever we went through today, right, this is available as a video. So I would encourage you guys to visit this. So it's a screencast of how what AEM does.
So what is the cost of the certification for this one?
Sorry, I missed your question.
No, what is the cost of the certification for this one?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, your voice is not audible.
Okay. What is the cost of certification for this Adobe CQ5? What are
Okay,
the,
certification is $180 for the developer, another $180 for the lead developer. They have three kinds,
yeah.
right? So $180 is around 12,000. That's right. I mean, I have a training topics list for that. You know. Right. So they have three things there. One is the system administrator. I mean, one is the lead architect. One is the developer. Right, lead architect, AEM 6 onwards they call it as architect. 5.6 version is lead developer. Basic version is developer. It's $180.
Okay.
Okay,
So why the name
so
is confused from CQ5 from the change into AEM?
good question. Even I was confused when I started learning that. See, what happened was in 2006 to 2008, right? There was a Switzerland-based company which was called as Communique. It's also
Okay.
called Day Software. So when they started building it, that product became a super hit, and in 2010, Adobe took over that. So from
Okay.
2006 to 2008, it was 2006 to 2010, it was called as Day CQ5. Then once Adobe brought it, they made it as Adobe CQ5,
Okay.
right? Right, Adobe bought, I mean, took over Day in 2010. They called it as Adobe Experience Manager. Then version 5.6 to version 6, they call it as AEM. Version 5.6 onwards, they call it as AEM, Adobe Experience Manager. So it's used like DayCQ, CQ, Adobe CQ, Communique, AEM. So version currently market is running on 5.6.1 and 6 is the latest version. 5.6 onwards, they call it as AEM. So you can just use it however you want.
Okay.
Okay, and I wanted to, okay, so if you just see these links, right, there is a deep dive of whatever we spoke today. Dave was CQ and Adobe, right, Parga, that's right. You know, yeah, this is what I was talking about. Mani, you asked that question or Madhur asked that question?
Yeah, myself as the
Mani,
question.
sorry, Mani. So see, if you see it here, right, 2010 to 11, when Adobe brought it, right, they called it as Adobe CQ.
Okay.
Version 6.1 onwards, they call it as Adobe Experience Manager.
Okay.
So this is the history and benefits of CQ5. So these are the benefits, like these digital assets, multi-channel rendering. These are all the user, it provides you user-friendly experience, right? Uh, these are the things. So when once we start getting into depth, right, we'll understand this. Okay, what else do I have for today? Okay, I have a lot of content. I mean, slowly I can start sharing it with you guys. See, my idea is, I want you guys to build websites on your own in the next 1 month and get into depth, right? That is my idea, right? So, see, when I said okay, this is a very good document. You guys have another 5 minutes. Let me extend by another 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so this is how a CQ5 website looks like, right? So what I was saying is, say suppose you have added an author comes and adds a shorts like this, you can just give a description here, shorts for the summer, and say okay, and just activate that page to the publisher. It's visible live, right? Just a 5 minute job of bringing any live content. You get the power of it, right? So that was my idea. Right, so you can also do a lot of things like visual resizing, right? Just think of the features that this provides. You add an image and you want to rotate this, right? And you want to crop some part, and it provides features that are available in Paint into your tool. This is a very powerful tool, right? It provides visual search, drag and drop, content reuse. So see, if you look at this screen, right, this is called as the sidekick. So this has all the components. So when you're building a website, the author will have all these components. So he just has to drag and drop and place it into a placeholder, right? So you can also do a visual search, and it has a lot of search. I mean, search is a very complex topic which we'll cover, right? It provides you with those capabilities. And then mobile capabilities, like we discussed, it comes with, see, you get an emulator here. No need to go into that device and develop. You can just use this emulator, drag and drop into the emulator. So as soon as you drag and drop a component into your emulator, you get the look and feel, how it is getting rendered, what are the components that you want to make it. So how is the look and feel very good here? It's because of the HTML5. This AEM supports HTML5, right? So there is also phone gap if you want to, I'm sure you guys are aware of phone gap, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so phone gap allows you to, right, so Madhur knows it, right, so it allows you to build applications for various, OS, mobile OSs, right? This basically, and what else? See, content authoring. See, you can author the content and you can compare it. You can do a lot of targeting and testing and targeting variation with Experience Manager. Right, and you can, there is a lot of tools for rolling out campaigns and promotional websites quickly, right? You think of a promotion in a typical Java application or .NET application. If you want to have promotions and all those things, it's an altogether a burn down effort, minimum of 2 to 3 weeks if you consider the testing and overall cycle, but here it happens just in 2 3 days. Right, this is something. And multi-site management, right? So what happens is, you have multiple websites. See, for example, if you see here, multi-site means for every language you will have one site. English you can have one site, French, Dutch. You can have multiple sites just under one window. And if you do changes to a master, all the children will get updated with those changes, right? So overall, there are a lot. I mean, there are built-in workflows to localize content, right? So whatever content is there, say you need some authors or you need some reviewers for those authors, doing it, integrating it is a very easy thing here. Then social collaboration, right? So if you see here, you can have a community, right? So it integrates with your various social. It comes out with default plugins, right? It comes out with social widgets and all those things. So if you see here, these guys have collaborated on a topic in a community. Right, so I was talking about the product, right? So usually nowadays e-commerce is a very important aspect, and Oracle ATG and Hybris are the two most selling solutions for e-commerce, right? So Adobe Experience Manager comes with connectors for these e-commerce, right? So what you just need to do is you'll have a Hybris connector, you just have to configure it and get all the product information. And if you see, you can get the Google information from Hybris. Oh, it's called Hybris. Neat. Uh, Sorry, Madhur. I didn't understand your question. What is it? Have to integrate a right. That's a very important feature. Most of the applications nowadays is being integrated. Could you? Oh, I mean, this is out of this whole thing. I mean, it's not covered in the training. This training is to get you guys comfortable with AEM and I mean, this is not with the integration part. Maybe I can connect with you separately for this. Right, so this also comes with advanced search and navigation. So I mean, we spoke about search. Then there's a media library. I mean, I showed you the renditions and I showed you the image console, right? So this is the thing. Okay, guys. So for today, I mean, I just wanted to give you an overview of AEM, like what are the features. I just wanted you to think in terms of AEM. I just wanted you guys to understand. So maybe once we start the course, you will understand like what is the technology architecture, how the content is organized within AEM, how the workflows are configured, how do I build a page. Pargat, I'll come to you, Pargat. I'll just wind this up and come to you. Okay, so yeah, this was more of a demo session, just for you guys to understand about AEM, what are the features. I hope I could convince you the power of AEM. Okay, so Pargat, to answer to your question, AEM6, it comes with Sightly. So AEM 5.6 primarily when you build the components, it was done with JSP. So the problem with JSP, I mean, I wouldn't call it a problem. The drawback of doing with JSPs was you needed a backend developer to come and code your JSP. But AEM6 introduces you to something called as Sightly. It's called Sightly. So with Sightly, what happens is a front-end developer, right? He himself can develop the component, right? So a front-end developer can create a component. So it's like a HTML based framework. It's a HTML based framework, so it gives you a mockup which you can use and build the components. We have a component, I mean, we have exercises to build using Sightly. This is one feature. And then the way content is stored, right? This supports you MongoDB. So usually AEM 5.6, do we need to go with JSP or Sightly? Right, so it again depends. If you have a 5.6 project which has already been developed, right, reworking on making it to Sightly is a burn down effort. So for any new components, you can go with Sightly. It saves a lot of time and it separates concerns. How about yes, you can definitely integrate with AEM6. So what you need to do is you'll have a client library. Again, Angular JS is a JS framework, so it will have a JS library that you need to include. So once you include the JS library into the client lib, you can use any of the functions within Angular. Good questions. I like these questions. I mean, we'll cover that. I mean, I can't cover AngularJS, but I can tell you the placeholders like where you need to, add it. We have the client library in depth, right? So I can cover that. Okay, guys, do we need to go with JS? Right. So see, for any new components, you just have to go through what are the capabilities supported in Sightly. There are some things that are not supported in Sightly. So for such, there are some resource types that may not be supported in Sightly. So when you come across such a thing, you just have to go through the Sightly documentation and find it out. But what I'm going to cover here in this training is Sightly, uh, like how to build components using Sightly. For any new requirements, what are the documents that I need to refer? And this is something that I will do for almost all the topics. I will give you a list of APIs which you have to refer, a list of blocks, places where you can get help. Getting help for AEM is a little tough. I mean, people who are working on AEM would already know this, but I'll give you pointers to do that. Okay, guys, any other questions? I'm welcome to take questions. I like questions. Go ahead.
So is there any memory constraint for this when you're using Adobe CQI comparatively other like Joomla kind of things?
Right, there is, that's a good question. See, this comes with OSGi, right? This comes with OSGi. OSGi again is a way of developing modular frameworks. So everything is, distributed as bundles, right? So every
Okay.
bundle will have its own class loader. So that way, it takes more heap
Hello.
space. Hello, you're able to hear me?
Yeah, your voice is breaking just now.
Hey, sorry. Right, so yeah, there is a memory thing, but there are some tuning parameters which will, give you more heap and which will you can tune your JVM because every bundle has its own class loader. So again, class loader occupies memory. But yes, to answer your question, there is a memory. I wouldn't call it as a hit, but it takes more memory which you can tune it. There are some tuning best practices that are there. I mean, you just have to understand it this way. It comes with multiple bundles. Each bundle has its own class loader, right? So every class loader has its own area of memory. So that way, to answer your question, yes, it takes more memory. So see, you need a 4 GB RAM to run it efficiently, or 8 GB is recommended now. AEM takes around 2 GB of memory with the most fine-tuning parameters.
Okay.
So Rishi, uh, in the this course, right? It will be a basic, right? In the advanced, what will be the difference between this one and the advanced course?
Right, right. So in the advanced course, we are getting into more advanced concepts like the caching mechanism, right? If you see any web page, uh, you'll have a lot of content, lot of static content that has to be cached for better performance, right?
Mhm.
So,
You mean the
so
dispatcher kind of thing?
exactly. So we'll work on configuring the dispatcher, like how to set up the dispatcher. What are the various sections in the dispatcher, what are the things that are filtered and all those things. And we'll also work on creating custom workflows, right? We'll have a scenario and create a custom workflow, and then we'll work on creating schedulers, right. Let me open that document, 1 minute. Okay, so here we'll work on, see, usually we work as a team on AEM applications, right? So how we can have create a Maven project out of this? What are the dependencies? What are the jars that need to be installed? And when you have some content and you have a IDE, how to bring that content in AEM to the IDE? We'll look at exploring the vault, right? Then we look at creating the when you create a bundle, right? A bundle is composed of components and services. So we'll understand what are the various annotations, what is a component, what is a service, right? We will see like how to test if my service is running properly. We'll understand how to debug a component, how to debug a bundle,
Mm-hmm.
what are the states and all those things. Then we'll also understand the Sling resources, servlets, how to create a Sling I mean, this comes with a Sling, right? I mean, there are three things. One is the Sling, one is the JCR, and the other is the OSGi. We'll get into depth like what are these things with examples. Then we'll understand Sling events, right? Event handling is a very common scenario which is required. Then we'll understand about scheduling, how you can schedule some job, how you can schedule it periodically, how to give expressions, what are the jobs that can. I'll give you scenarios, real-time scenarios out of my work experience for this, because these are the things that are most frequency. I mean, most of us, we attend interviews, and these are the common kind of things that are covered.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll understand like how the data is stored in the backend. We will understand the repository internals, like what is the form kind of data that is stored,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of style it is stored, blob store, data store. I'll cover. Then AEM6 comes with something called as micro kernels. This is more to do with the backend storage part. Then we look at the JCR versioning and observation. Then we look at how the user groups and how the users are created. I'll show you the user console.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
we'll also talk about unit testing. Like usually as developers, right, creating unit tests has become a very mandate now in most of the big organizations. Right, we'll discuss how we can configure that. We'll discuss how to create, how to deploy, what are the different run modes, author, publisher. If you have multiple locations, development is happening and you want same configurations, we'll discuss those things. We'll discuss
Mm-hmm.
about the dispatcher. Then say suppose you have some third-party system, so you want to bring in data, or you have some web service you want to consume data from that endpoint. What are the approaches that can be used? Then we'll discuss about client library. This what I'm talking is in advanced developer.
Mm-hmm.
Then the client libraries, like somebody asked me how I can put AngularJS or any other third-party JavaScript that has to be embedded, how I can do that. Then we'll look at the content migration. Usually this is a very common requirement. You may have some existing CMS tool. You may want to migrate the content to AEM, or one more requirement maybe you have some older version of AEM running and you get an upgrade project and you don't know where to start. What are the kind of things that you need to see? So we will see that here. There's something called as curl, vault, and sling post servlets. Then upgrading to AEM6, I'll walk you through the strategies. Right. So
Okay.
this is my idea. I think I had one question here. I was asked these questions. Sling sessions are also covered. Okay. Madhur, are you working on AEM already? Just started. Okay, great. Yes, yes, we are going to cover Sling sessions. JCR sessions, I would call it, from the workspace. Yes, we'll cover it. Madhur, which company you do work in? Oh, Zensar. Okay, great. Okay. How about you, Pargat? Where do you work? Okay, so even you have some AEM experience? Ah, okay. Okay. How long have you been in AEM?
That's why I am sending many. I'm just giving my job to him. See how nice I am?
Oh, okay. So Mani and Pargat will be together in some days.
Nah, we are already because this guy took over, right? So we are handing over to them. They're actually to kick us out.
Okay. You
Absolutely
guys
fine.
are in Bangalore location itself?
No, I'm in Chennai.
Okay, okay, fine, fine, great then. Okay, let's hope. I mean, I hope that I could convey the message like this demo session was more